here and listen to us talk about RTI and the new APEX software. I hope everybody can see my screen. If you guys have any questions, please post them in the questions box. We'll take as much time as needed after the webinar to answer all your guys' questions. We do have a lot to cover today, so we're just going to jump right into it. As you guys have heard, I keep saying we. Today, I'm actually joined by Vince. I hope I don't butcher your guys' last names here. Vincent Bova, which is the Dealer Experience Manager, as well as Justin Bresnahan. And I hope I didn't butcher your guys' name. Are you guys there?
You did a great job.
Yes, we are. Yeah, great job there.
So, we're going to have Justin. Thank you guys both for hopping on, taking time out of your day as well to, talk to us about APEX, show us how it works. It's not just going to be this little sales pitch. It's going to be get in, nitty-gritty, how does it work? It is going to be going fast, guys, because we do have a lot to cover. So you guys will have a lot of questions, and we will give you the resources to be able to answer all those questions as well at the end. So, Justin?
All right. Well, good morning. And again, thank you. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know that's a big investment. Want to make sure that we use this time wisely. And I hope after the next 20 minutes or so, you realize just how awesome and how excited we all are about Integration Designer APEX. Now, this is going to be a completely different type of mindset if you're already using Integration Designer 9, but with a little bit of willingness to accept some change to take advantage of the great programming efficiencies. You're going to soon see how this is going to really help you be profitable in the very near future. I'm excited to introduce actually who's going to be doing most of the legwork here and showing you underneath the hood of APEX is Vincent Bova. Vincent Bova has been with us now for a couple months, and he has been a programmer and a dealer, and so he will be able to speak to you about the software, the differences between the two versions, and I'll tell you what, he's a great resource. This is actually a new program that we have where Vincent's going to be able to work with you folks to make sure that you understand the software along with Chris, but he's going to be an extension of our training team / even a little bit of our tech support, but his main focus is to help consult, help you figure out how to take care of some projects if you get yourself into a jam, and just really make sure that you have the tools and the resources that you need. So I'm really excited for him to walk you through APEX and share some of his experience regarding the two different software platforms. If we can go ahead and keep moving on through here, one of the things that we just recently announced was our 25th anniversary. RTI has been around the block for a long time, so if you're new to RTI, you're in for a treat because we have a massive product selection that's going to help you in both commercial and residential opportunities. And we just announced a bunch of great stuff at CEDIA, and one of them obviously is APEX, so that's what we're going to go ahead and talk about. Just a quick announcement, we actually just launched the new firmware update to APEX, which did two things besides fixing a couple bugs. Number one, we announced that now the KX3 that has a processor built in it is now able to rock and roll. So now you got a great in-wall keypad that also has some pretty powerful processing capabilities to help you out in both the residential, but as well as some great commercial opportunities for you guys. And then secondly, with that, we announced that Pro Control, our Z series lineup from Pro Control, now is able to be programmed inside of Integration Designer APEX. So if we can keep kind of cruise along here, because I want to make sure we get into this software, here's why you guys are here today, right? So there's these two different worlds of programming platforms, and the great thing about APEX is it takes advantages of best of those both worlds, right? One thing that people really love about Integration Designer is it's completely customizable, right? You can go out there and now you have the ability to be able to say, yes, I can give you a customized interface experience and be on a platform that also now has time-saving automation, which we're going to show you. Vincent's going to walk us through how we no longer have to sit there and drag and drop those mundane commands onto buttons. APEX is going to handle that for us, And one of the really cool things about Apex that we're going to show you is now we have a completely different graphics pack inside of Apex that's going to save you time and make creating an intuitive interface really easy. And at the end of the day, again, because RTI is all about giving you flexibility and allowing you to scale and grow your business, this is going to be a new platform that's really going to allow you to step up your game when it comes to saving time, being more efficient inside of the software platform, and we'll show you how that works. And at the end of the day, Apex is all about making sure that you can program faster so you can become more profitable. So let's go ahead and I'm going to switch this over to Vincent, and Vincent is going to do his best. Now, I've seen him do this, but again, you gotta realize to be able to program a system in under 15 minutes, you probably have to have your mouth not moving. So Vince is going to go ahead and do his best to try to program a single room system for you, just to show you how fast and efficient Apex is. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Vince, and let's get underneath the hood of Apex and show you what it's all about.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us, and Justin, thank you for that warm introduction. I'm really happy to be here. I think RTI is really focused on really providing that dealer experience, and I'm really happy to be helping you guys on the field and getting you going. I'm really psyched about this new Apex platform. I know that a lot of you are really comfortable with ID and feel very efficient in it, but once you learn the ins and outs of Apex, I think it's going to feel like, you know, you were washing dishes compared to having a dishwasher with Apex. That's how fast it is, and that's how powerful it is. Let's start the system by firing up Apex. Let me get my screen large here, make sure it looks good to you guys. Look good, Justin? Okay. I'm going to start with creating a new file here, and let's just call it system. The first thing we're going to be prompted is to add a processor. So let's add an XP6 processor to our global area, because that's going to be where everything resides in global that is for the entire system. And since this XP6 processor is serving up the entire system, that's where it'll be. We can go through a list of room names here, or we can make our own room. Let's just call this media room. We're going to do one room today just as a test example. Let's just follow along the tabs here, and we lay out for you the tabs here in a pretty logical order so that you guys can have a good, decent workflow without going all over the place like we used to in ID. Let's add a controller to our room. We'll add a couple of controllers. Let's add a T3X handheld, and that will add to the media room. And now it's just basically telling me to name my device, or I can leave it as is, and it's asking me if I want to create a home page in the media room, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add that device and create a home page. Device is added. Let's add another device. Let's add another controller. Let's add a KX7 from our list of keypads. We could rename it here. We'll leave it the same. And we're using the Obsidian template, which is what we have available now, and that should change in the future. We're going to add our device. Click yes. Let's add some two-way drivers. Let's add a Yamaha receiver to our media room. And let's just name it Yamaha receiver, or AVR. Notice here, we're setting this as our room audio source. We're going to leave that checked. Apex is intelligent enough to know that this device might be used for the room's audio source as a candidate. So it checks it. We can uncheck it if we want, but we do want to make that our room audio source. Think of that as a punch through. Think of that as a way of telling the other devices that we add to use this for the volume. Do we want to create pages for our receiver? No. Let's not create pages in this case. We want the client to have an easy experience. I'm going to add that device. Since we're in the two-way section, let's add another two-way device. We'll add a Roku player to our media room. And we can rename it if we like, but let's stick with the Roku, and we will create some pages for this. So this will create a Roku page on the T3X and KX7, among other things. Add device. Yes. think we're done with two-way devices for now. Z-Wave would be if we had a ZW9 in our system, we could add some Z-Wave devices. Infrared, we'll add a cable box. Let's add a Scientific Atlanta. And notice that our cable box, our IR library is very consolidated now. We don't have all that mumbo jumbo we used to have where we'd have thousands of models and incomplete code sets. Of course, you could use your own code set if you toggle this library here, and you might notice the megalist, the popular megalist here. But I will tell you that this library that we licensed and implemented into APEX is very powerful, very complete, and very accurate. So I am going to add our Scientific Atlanta cable box to the system. And watch when I click Next now, it will let you do a bunch of things. It'll let you assign the IR port. You'll create pages for it, and you can rename this. So let's just call this cable box instead of that long name. We're going to add that device. Okay, let's continue adding devices. Let's add a Samsung TV. So I'm going to search my library, and notice that as I'm typing, it's drilling down more and more. It's a very accurate search feature. When I click next to the Samsung device, I'm going to assign my IR port again. I'm going to rename this to my television, and I'm going to not create pages for this guy either. Of course, you can if you want to. Let's finish up by adding a Blu-ray player. I'm going to add a Sony Blu-ray, so I'm just going to search for Sony Blu. Notice we have most models because most of those IR codes are the same. We're going to click Next. We are going to create pages for it. We're going to assign it to port 3, and we're going to rename this our Blu-ray. Add device. Yes. We could add RS-232 library if we'd like, and we have a long list of RS-232 libraries consolidated just like the IR library. And our page sets. This is where we could add our please wait page, kind of like a convenient way to add these things. Let's add a please wait page, and yes, let's create a page for that on both devices. And let's finish off by adding a power off page. And let's create that. I think I'm done. Well, I'll click yes just to show you that we ran out of page option, ran out of tab options here. So we're pretty much finished. I'm going to close this out and show you what happened. We basically have a tree here which gives us all the detail of our system. We have our drivers, we have our sources, we have our room, the media room, and our controllers, and the sources available to us. This would be a good time right now to go in and kind of configure our properties. And when I click on the processor, you'll see this window open up here where you can have, your events and add expansion devices, very familiar to ID. And, you can go into your properties, which look exactly the same, and set your location or whatever else you want to do, IR pass-through. You want to go down the line now and configure your drivers. Maybe you want to go here and add a friendly name to your Yamaha. Configure your Roku player. You can look at your driver info or driver events. In this case, I'm going to name my Roku player Roku, and I'm going to attach a serial number to it. Maybe add a couple of different apps that I want to directly access from my driver, whatever. You could also go down the line now and go into your properties of your remotes. You can change the brightness, network settings, even your voice over IP settings. Same as before, no different. You access it a different way, but they all look the same, so you should have no problem there. If I click on my sources, you don't see your pages when you click on sources, but what it does is opens up a window here, and you can see the pages that APEX created for you by clicking on them. So this is my T3X homepage. This is my KX7 homepage. Now let's squeeze this in so you guys can see this a little bit better. Squeeze that in a little. Let me make that a little wider so that we can use this. Pull this back a little bit. Okay. So let's start with our T3X. This is the point where I'd like to design my home page. Okay. So I am going to imitate my devices with graphics. Let's go for a cable. icon. Stick my cable icon there. Notice how it resized that cable icon. If I would have just dragged that cable icon to my screen, that's what I would have had. But thanks to APEX's graphics rescaling using 9-patch imaging, I'm able to rescale graphics simply by dragging them on a 9-patch button, which we provide. You could also create your own 9-patch buttons, and we'll have webinars based on that in the future. Let's add our Sony Blu-ray. And we could search our library for different graphics and models, and just simply drag them over and watch them resize. I believe we did a Roku player. We'll add that in here. Here's our Roku player. Let's get rid of these. And of course, the great thing about APEX, as you guys probably heard, is that you can resize your buttons without having to, change your graphics out. So it's very easy to go in and resize your buttons and make them all the same size and center them and really change things around quickly with minimum effort. Of course, we can go in here and we can relabel these watch cable. Just like we did an ID with our right-clicking, we can call this watch Blu-ray. Let me make this a little bigger for you guys, if you can see it better. And we'll call this watch Roku. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we are going to explain tags to you real quick. Basically, we created our activities. These tags were created, and if I go to my window here, if I go to my tags in this window, I can see these activity tags that were already made for me when I created all my devices. So when I added my cable box to the system, it created a tag for me. When I added my Blu-ray and even my please wait and power off pages, it created tags for me. What I like to do first is I like to drag these tags over to the buttons. And I'll explain to you what these guys do. I'm going to drag my tags over. This is for my Roku, and this is for my Blu-ray. I'm now going to create a macro on these buttons. I'm going to create a room macro, and I'm going to explain to you what different macros are also. But basically, there's different macros for different levels that you can run. And basically, a source macro would be a play command on a Blu-ray. A room macro would be an activity macro that runs in a room, or a volume command that punches through from the Yamaha receiver. And a controller macro would be like a standalone command that runs only on the controller. Think of if we didn't have an emitter for our television or something like that, or if we wanted to send a command or variable that would only be available for this controller and not the KX7. But in this case, we're going to create a room macro because we want that to be available in our entire room. So if you guys are familiar with Pro Control, this looks a lot like Pro Control now. I can go into my sources and I can drag commands over. Another great thing, if I could just go back for 1 second and explain this bottom level to you, this shows you what your tag is, what kind of macro you're using. This is a global macro, this is a source macro, this is a room macro, and this is a controller macro. And the same with variables. There's also a page link. APEX is smart enough to generate a page jump for you when you create an activity. This knows to jump to the cable box page. So we could use these, think of these the way you would number buttons in ID, where like a button would have a number that would jump automatically to a device without having any please wait page. So we could use that methodology, or we could add our own please wait pages. So in this case, I'm going to create my room macro with please wait pages. It would be prudent to delete that page link if we wanted to do it this way, but I'm just going to show you as an example. Notice our please wait page says calling controller. So if I create this macro, I can copy it to other controllers without having to change the name of the controller. A little different. Here's all my sources that are available to me. So if I go to my television and drag in a power command, and I'm purposely going to drag the wrong command over because I want to show you how easy it is to change things once they're in there. Let's add a cable box command. for our power. Let's add a Yamaha receiver command. And let's add an input command. And then let's finish up real quick by adding a page link. Let's go to our cable box with this macro. So notice our macro is a pretty messy situation here. We have the wrong commands here. All I have to do is click on them, and I have a complete drop-down of all my commands. And that goes for drivers also. So if you drag the wrong thing over, like, you know, if you drag the wrong command over, there's no need, like in ID, to have to go back to your tree and drag a command in. You simply just find your command and just set it. Cable box power toggle is good. Denon is good. Let's change the input on the Denon to HDMI 2. Let's reorder these, maybe. We could even do a system variable check here to see if the receiver is on. Look how easy it is.
Hey, Vince, after you knock this out, let's go ahead and show them the auto programming in action when you head into one of the actual respective source pages.
Absolutely. Okay, so we'll do that right after the activities. So I just created an activity real quick here. Nothing pretty, just a simple macro. You know, there's really, let me add a little quick delay here just to clean it up a little bit, just to make it look presentable. So now we have a macro here. Now, here on the top is all of our tags. If I want to copy these to my other macros, I can copy them, paste it to my Roku macro, and then just change the things I need to change. Maybe I want Roku to be HDMI 3. Maybe I want, and over here, of course, I'm going to jump to the Roku. And I'm going to do the same for my Blu-ray tag. And since these are tagged already, it will populate, I'll show you, it'll populate those buttons. So if I go back to my home page, or if I click back here, notice now that all three of these are populated with room macros. Okay? Now, if I look at my individual devices, like my cable box, and I click one of those pages, let's go to my Blu-ray. If I click one of those pages, you can see that all these commands here on the hard buttons and even on the screen were populated, not just for my T3X, but for my KX7 also. Everything that's checked here has been auto-programmed. Even the volume buttons have been redirected to the Yamaha volume because I set that as my room audio source. Everything is done here. Of course, I could do individual maintenance. Maybe something didn't populate because there was no correlation between the IR library and the tag name. Because every button here has a tag. This display button has a tag named display. And since there was a display in the IR library, it matched it one-to-one. So auto-programming is paramount in APEX. If you look at my cable, all my hard buttons have been populated, and it's giving me a section for feedback if I want, and some, you know, channel icons. Of course, with channel icons, another great thing about graphics in APEX is that if I select my channel icons and drag them over, even icons that have no transparency will now have a transparent layer. Buttons that are black on black buttons will invert. And ignore these text variables. They're just meant to be there in case you wanted to have some feedback on the buttons themselves. The client won't actually see them anyway. But it's very easy to add channel icons. And since the way the tags work, I would just create a source macro here and just copy them from each tag. So I would just go here and I would go to my cable and I would add my digits. And I would go to the next tag and add my digits, and the next, and the next. And since I added, and since all these presets are tagged, they would all populate. This is tag preset 4, preset 8, and we could do our own tags also. So once that's done, once this homepage that we developed is done here, all of our macros are done. Now it's simple for us to go to our KX7, and now since all the macros are already done, all we have to do is tag these buttons by dragging the tag over. Here's our cable box tag. Drag that over. Here's our Blu-ray tag. Here's our Roku tag. Where is our Roku? Here we go. And of course, we want to put our bitmaps on them. And we don't have to, we could do our bitmaps first if we want. It depends on the order you want to go in.
Well, while Vince is going ahead and throwing on those bitmaps and finishing up here, we're going to be shortly running out of time, but I do hope that you see APEX is pretty powerful and really, really fast. There's a lot more to learn. We have a bunch of videos that you can watch on our website, and stay tuned. We're going to be hosting a series of webinars, everything from graphics to the best tips and tricks that our tech support team and our dealer experience team uses to help troubleshoot systems in the field. We will be posting a bunch of new content. In fact, Vince does a great job of making sure folks really understand, some ins and outs on some very specialty situations inside of APEX and RTI holistically. As we continue to build out content and go through different firmware versions of APEX, we'll make sure that there's tons of technical bulletins, sample system files, where we'll actually utilize the comment feature inside of the platform so that you can follow along and know exactly what's going on. And I hope you see here what's really cool about APEX is with the workspace there on the left, and when you go to the macro builder tool, it's very intuitive as to what you just built. And if you ever have to go into a environment or a situation where you have to rebuild, APEX and the tags is going to make it so you could do a bunch of cool stuff. APEX now offers the ability to swap sources. So you can, it doesn't matter if it's IR, RS-232, or a driver, if it's tagged properly. Let's say you go out to a job and you're planning on utilizing a Sony Blu-ray player, and all of a sudden you find out there are no Sony Blu-ray players and you have to go with the Panasonic. It'll take you just a matter of seconds to swap out that device, and all that auto programming will happen automatically for you. So again, at the end of the day, APEX is really all about utilizing these tags. And I'll be honest, tags and the macro priority are going to be the two things that you're going to need to focus on and really understand, and we'll be having some more material to help you through that process. But after you understand the power of tags and really understand that APEX is all about organization and making it really simple and effective to program, I hope that you see that it's going to be a platform that's going to allow you to get in and get out real quickly, but at the same time, if you want to build something completely customizable, you can. So you can bring in actually your templates and your graphics into APEX. You won't be able at this time to bring in the actual commands or the macros themselves, but if you have those templates that you've been using, that you've been invested into, you can bring them right in over to the software. There's actually some really cool features that we're going to be building to make it very easy to save actual page sets for different sources and automatically populate them into a system file, so you can create that customized experience but take advantage of the fact that you're more than likely going to be using a lot of the same sources over and over again. So at this point, I know we're already kind of running out of time here, but again, I hope that you can see the power of APEX, and it's only in its first version. Stay tuned. The great thing about APEX and the platform that it's on now is our engineers, instead of back when we had Integration Designer 9, we were probably doing about two firmware updates a year. With APEX, we'll be doing them every 6 to 8 weeks, so there's going to be a lot of really cool features. If you're saying, hey, I don't think it's going to be capable, or you don't see that feature yet, you can hop onto our forum, make sure your voice is heard, but just please know we know exactly what it is you guys are looking for, and because we have someone like Vince on the team now, he understands what you guys need in in the reality of programming from the dealer's perspective. So he's really got your back when it comes to making sure he's working with the engineers to put in the right features to make this fast, simple to use. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys start opening up for some questions here. Chris, if you want to wrap up. Again, we'll schedule another webinar with Chris and Capital Sales so that we can take you kind of on the next level and journey. But there's tons of resources already on the dealer portal. And again, you can reach us at training@rticorp.com. We'd love to help you out. And of course, Vincent B at rticorp.com, and he'd be more than happy to answer some of your questions. So with that, thank you for your time, and I will hand this over to Chris.
Hey, thanks, Justin. You know, yeah, guys, it's a lot of cool stuff. I mean, you guys can see the power, and honestly, we're just touching the surface. There's only so much stuff we can show you in 20 minutes. We could have done this a half a day or a full day webinar and still been excited and answering questions and programming and showing you what's going on. So I know, guys, it's sometimes really hard on some of this stuff to keep it 20 minutes. As you know, we just ran to 30 minutes, but we couldn't make it any shorter. I'm sure you guys have probably more questions now that you've seen it. What can it do? Can it do this as well? And if you guys have any of those questions, like Justin said, reach out to Vincent, reach out to training, reach out to myself or any of the account managers at Capital. We'd all be happy to help you, answer questions, learn about your projects, what you're trying to do. You know, we really enjoy doing it. That's why we do what we do. So, guys, with that, why don't you guys take the time here to answer any questions you guys have. I do see one question on here. It looks like Justin already answered it. The question was, will APEX be available for Pro Control R series as well? No, it is not. If you do want to program Pro Control inside of APEX, you will need to go to the Z series processors. You know, there's just so much more to offer from the R to the Z series. You know, I always tell everybody, why not just spec in the Z to begin with? I mean, it's got so many more features, and you know, you're not limited. You don't run out of those options. You know, so I always recommend, if you're going to go Pro Control, spec the Z series because it has so much more. You know, it's not much more expensive.
Yeah, and if I may, Chris, just real quick on the Pro Control side of things there, just real quickly, Pro Control now in APEX is really opening up the door for you to go back to these existing jobs where you kind of were stopped because you couldn't really do any more, and now you can introduce that client to the RTI ecosystem. And also in the standpoint where you just can't get them to see the value in stepping up into the RTI world right at first, you can still take advantage of the complete customization and flexibility with RTI Integration Designer APEX and come in at a lower price point, so you can still get control into that client's hands.
Definitely some great points. And actually, with that being said, we'll roll into questions popped up about training and training videos, training material. Question came in, you know, transitioning from another manufacturer to RTI, meaning they're not familiar with ID9, Integration Designer 9. Honestly, in my opinion, that's a good thing, because what we see a lot of, and what I get a lot of calls on, is guys that have been doing Integration Designer 9 for so long that with APEX, you know, it is labeled differently. The flow is different, and sometimes, you know, it takes a lot more conditioning on yourself to relearn where stuff is at. If you can start in APEX, you know, you got a great start already. Justin, Vincent, I mean, Justin, do you want to go into some of the training materials? How do people go on their own to learn more about APEX?
Yeah, so again, it's a new platform, and actually I've been with RTI now for a whopping 5 months, but it feels like 5 years. I just want to let you know that I know that there's, you know, limited resources, and RTI can always do better, and that's my you know, what my commitment is, and Vince is really doing a good job of helping out. So right now on our dealer portal, There are, I believe, like 7 videos with over 10,000 views already. And there's actually a link to our starter online university. It takes those videos and then gives you some quizzing so that you can get like a baseline certification. But I want to let you know we are in the midst as we're rolling out the software and rolling out a bunch of really cool new products that are going to be announced here in the very near future. I'm actually building out a certified curriculum that will help you out from the, before you even get into programming, what do you need to know in order to be a efficient programmer, and understanding everything from the different type of protocols to the different products and how they connect and work. And we're gonna work on building out that certification platform. And as far as other training opportunities, we'll have an update to our training calendar online here pretty soon. If you have any questions regarding training live opportunities, reach out to Chris, and he'll know who to contact as far as the RTI sales rep. And we got folks all over the country that are doing trainings all the time. And we'll work with Chris, and we've already just recently done a training at Capital Sales in Minnesota, and we'll look to continue to schedule these out. And like I said, we'll be hosting plenty of webinars. Make sure that you sign up to be an RTI dealer. Give us your information so that you can get on our mailing list, and you will soon see a bunch of different types of content being delivered to you from a training standpoint, as well as sign-ups for webinars here in the very near future.
Yeah, thanks. And I want to make a point as well. RTI is a great company to work with. The guys that have been working with RTI for a long time know this, but when you're switching from another manufacturer and looking at RTI really tries to help to make it work, for you and answer your questions. And RTI knows that, right now there is a lack of, somewhat of a lack of training materials because it is a new platform. That doesn't mean they want you to wait until the training materials are out there. We're all here. This is the reason we're doing the webinar. We're all here to help you guys answer those questions as as they come up. So, Justin is here. Vincent's there. They're hiring guys like Vincent to help you guys out with that. I'm here. Your account manager at Capital are here to help out. So don't be turned away if there's a isn't a video for a specific item. We're all here to help and get that going. Now, let's see here. Vincent, obviously you were programming that Z-Series remote as we were going. Thanks for doing that, showing that off. That answers a couple questions already. Next question is, can the Z-Series remote trigger macros on the XP6, XP8 versus using a, ProLink Z processor in RTI? There's your answer, guys.
I'll take that one. Absolutely. The Pro 24Z is fully implemented into the lineup. So once you pop that in there, sky's the limit. As you could see here, I programmed the quick. No, I didn't program it, but I showed you that you can use this without a processor, or you could use this with any of the processors we have available. One more thing I want to expand on. I'm sorry. One more thing. As far as training goes, guys, there are some really cool promotional packages that are coming out or hitting the market really soon. The best way to learn Apex, put a test system in place somewhere. Put it in your house. Put it in your showroom. Put it in your office. Just a small little sample size system where you can knock around with Apex and learn the principles. I'm telling you, once you learn some of the ins and outs, you won't want to go back. It's really that fast. So we programmed that system just now in, 15 minutes in explaining it, but you can program a 4-source system literally 10 minutes. It's been done. So really take advantage of one of those promotions that we have coming to the market.
Yeah, and what Vince is talking about, we actually just rolled out, and we already have pre-orders on our custom control kit. And that actually comes with the Pro 24Z remote, unlimited licenses for RTI panel, and an XP3 processor. I believe dealer cost is somewhere right around $525, so it's a really you're getting a lot for the money. And again, it's a great opportunity, like Vince said, to go ahead and start programming with it, and then as soon as you feel comfortable with it, something that you can implement into a client's home. Real quick, I'll just let you guys know too, if you've been working with RTI for quite a while, we actually announced 2 new processors at CEDIA. One of them is the XP8V. It has a 1080p video, a fixed video output out of the processor, so you can now do on-screen navigation. Look for that here, hopefully towards the end of the month. I don't want to, obviously have you hold your breath on it, but that's hopefully something that will be here towards the end of the year, where you're going to be able to get your hands on that. And then we also just announced our XP6, our new version of the XP6, which will be rack mountable, and you can actually put 2 of them side by side in a rack. That'll be coming very shortly as well. The cool things about those processors, besides the video out of the flagship XP8V, is it's going to have more memory and more processing power. So you can load those bad boys up with whatever drivers you need, and know that your system is still going to be bulletproof and you're not going to be bogging down that processor.
All right, guys. I haven't seen any other questions pop up. There's a lot that we didn't cover in the new APEX software. I would be shocked if you guys don't have any other questions. I mean, I understand that, usually what happens is as soon as we end this webinar, questions start popping up throughout the day. If that's the case, definitely reach out to Vincent, Justin, myself, anybody at Capital. Don't blow them off. We're going to answer whatever questions you need, and we want you guys to feel comfortable, to be excited about this, because this is an exciting thing. I mean, everybody likes new hardware and everything else, but I mean, hardware is nothing without the software, and this is a huge step. I mean, going from Integration Designer 9 to APEX, how much faster, how much more powerful. I mean, even something as simple as being able to just easily resize the graphics. That's just one aspect of the new APEX software, and there is a ton more. And like Justin stated, the amount of updates, the amount of engineering time that's going into APEX, they're really looking for also input, like Justin mentioned, on the forums. If there's something that you guys want that you don't see, probably they're working on it, but don't expect it. Hop on the forum, voice it, and they're looking for input. They want to make this but you want it. So I'm excited to work with them. I'm excited about the APEX. I've been using it for a little while, and it's awesome. So, guys, you guys have any other questions before Vincent and Justin hop off and keep rocking and rolling? Well, I don't see any other questions popping in. So, Justin, Vincent, I want to thank you guys, for taking time out of your day. I hope everybody that's on is excited as I am about it, the new APEX software, and looking forward to all of the improvements that it has as well going forward. So, Justin, Vincent, thank you guys.
Oh, you're welcome.
Pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. We really appreciate the partnership with Capital Sales and you as dealers. Again, RTI is going in our 2.0, and there's a lot of exciting things. Talk to Chris or talk to anyone at Capital Sales about some of the the back-end things to support dealers. We just went from a 1-year to a 3-year warranty. We just updated our licensing structure on the panel, so it's very competitive. So if you have any questions about those types of things, definitely ask away, and we're here to help. And I just want to let you know, if you're not working in APEX, and we're not saying that twisting your arm and saying get out of ID9 and hop right into APEX and go out and do your big huge system. No, not at all. In fact, Vince will probably be a little dad on you and say, hey, you got to do your homework first before you implement this into someone's home. But I guess the ask here as a partnership is that you download the software, you get yourself, you know, an XP3, for example, and maybe a single license so that you can start learning how to program. Hop on our website. There's a workflow video on there that if you watch that workflow video, it'll show you how to take advantage of the platform and how the engineers built it so that it is efficient programming. So make sure you do a little bit of homework on your own. And the best way to get yourself ready for some really exciting updates coming, man, I wish I could tell you, but I just can't. But there's some awesome stuff coming down the road real quick with Apex. And the best way to prepare yourself to take advantage of these features that are about to come out is to do your homework, understand the basics of the platform, and start practicing doing some system files. So again, thank you. And at this point, there's no other questions. So Vince and I can talk all day long, and we know that we need to respect your time. So thanks again, Chris. Thanks a lot for giving us the opportunity to showcase Apex, and I'm sure there will be more to come from Chris and Capital Sales with RTI.
Hey, thank you guys. Thank you guys as well for taking the time and watching, and I'm going to let you guys get going, but if you guys have any questions, definitely reach out. So thanks, guys, and we're going to wrap it up.